Entitled kid chokes me while his mom is watching, then tries to make me give him my PS4 because I punched him. This is my first story here. Please be gentle. Also, this story is more about the kid than the parent, but the parent was supporting the behavior, so R-cast, EK, obvious, EM, obvious, me, super obvious. Neighbors 1 and 2. Two neighborhood kids. Note that the neighbors are actually pretty cool. The EK was just older than them, and so had some authority. And so it begins. One summer day last year, I had just turned 14. I was playing some basketball with these two kids from my neighborhood in their driveway. Their family is pretty rich, so they have a fully paved driveway big enough to be a sizable court. It's just me and them for about half an hour, until Satan's son himself came over from down the street. This kid is the really stereotypical little crap who made the select soccer team 3 years ago and still thinks that he runs the place. So we let him join the game and everything is fine for a bit. I'm a little bit on the bigger side, but I'm really strong. So I play really well as a center, posting up and that. And the EK is guarding me, and he's getting worked. He's shorter and not as strong, so he's getting dominated. Here's a major incident. I've just grabbed a loose ball, and I'm running back towards the basket. The other kid gets back before me, and stops my drive, so I start to back him down again. He must have just been really frustrated by him not getting a chance on defense, so he thinks up a plan. At this point I was wearing a hoodie and the fricker grabs my hood from behind, and pulls as hard as he can. I, not expecting my airflow to be cut off, especially while I'm breathing hard, start to panic. I can't shake him off of my back. I don't know how long he's hanging on, but it felt like a whole 45 seconds. That may not seem like that long, but I'm freaking the frick out, so it feels like forever. An eternity later, his grip loosens, and I finally get him off. I'm frickin' fired up, so I punch him right in the nose. Definitely not as hard as I could, but it certainly would have hurt a lot. This little crap, however, he drops like he's out cold. Meanwhile I'm on my knees trying to get my breath back. He's bawling his eyes out, he's rolling and screaming and all that, being the melodramatic turd that he is. But his mom is running over, and it was that moment where I knew I was fricked. Now, sometime between when he started and when I socked him, his mother came out, but she's the typical I want to speak to the manager white upper middle class mom who volunteers to be the head of the PTA every year and goes to Starbucks 20 times a day, and the EK is very much her son. EM. Oh my god. Redacted. Are you okay? What did you do to him? Me. He just nearly choked me out, so I punched him. EM. Why would you do that? You're so much bigger than him. Me. But he was choking me out. EM. Come on dude, you've got to be more mature about this. Me. What do you expect me to do? Apologize to him for making him choke me? This whole thing goes on for a while until the neighbors step in to try to protect me. N1. OP really didn't do anything wrong. N2. Yeah, he didn't even hit him that hard. EM. But OP shouldn't be hitting people in the first place. Especially not my son. Yes, she actually said especially not my son. N2. But it was basically a trade-off. EM. Why are you guys trying to protect him? You should probably go inside. You don't know what you're talking about. They keep trying to help me out, but to no avail. This just goes around for another 5 minutes before EK finally gets up and limps. Yes, limps back to his house. I go home cause I'm sick of this crap and I'm tired. The next day, I try to go back over, but the EK is there already. Neither of his parents' cars are there, so I assume that he's staying at the neighbor kid's house until they come back. I decide to go back inside because I don't want to interact with him. A couple hours later, EK shows up at our door with his mom standing at the gate of our fence. EK. Hi OP. I was just coming over to say sorry for choking you yesterday. I won't ever do it again. Me. Okay, thanks. I'm sorry that I punched you. At this point, my mom comes to see who I'm talking to, and she asks what's going on. EM pipes up and says, EM, we are here for your forgiveness gift. Me. My what? EM. Your forgiveness gift. It's the tradition in our family that the person who apologizes last has to give the other person something to make up for it. My mom. Excuse me? What's going on? I explain what happened, and as I explain what happened, she seems to get more and more disgusted by the situation. I finish explaining and turn back to EK, who had tried to correct my story while I was explaining it to my mom, saying things like, "He punched me twice in the face and then kicked me in the nuts while I was crying on the ground." My mom is basically a bomb sniffing dog for lies, so I can see from her face that she knows that's bullcrap. I turn back to EK. "My mom, I'm sorry, but we don't do forgiveness gifts in this family. We do in this one." EK, "Pick something out." EK looked around and saw my PS4 and he points at it. EK, "Mommy, I want that." Keep in mind that this kid is just about a year younger than I am. Too old for mommy, too old for this whole situation in my opinion. Walks up to our door and sees it's my PS4. Great, we'll take that as our gift. My mom, with steam billowing out of her ears, slams the door in their faces and quickly locks it. They start pounding on the door so hard that it sounds like they are trying to break it down. We leave the door, but they stay there pounding on the door for at least another 5 minutes before finally leaving. I still leave my neighbor's house anytime I see him walking down the block. That's the story. I understand that it was super long, may not be as high stakes or entertaining as some of the other stories here, but thanks for reading if you got this far. You can't name your baby that. Hi, this is my first real post, so sorry if I'm not doing this quite right. I have my own entitled parent stories, but this one happened to my mom when she was pregnant with me. So back in the late 90s, when Sears wasn't sad and dying, my mother was an assistant manager. Her boss was also pregnant and this generally wasn't an issue until it was. Now my parents spent a long time choosing baby names. When I turned out to be a girl, they really wanted my name to be gender neutral, to prevent future trouble finding jobs. Yes, that is the actual reason, but my middle name remained the same as when they thought I was a boy, Ryan. When they decided on my full name, my mom told her friends about it, and one of them ended up telling the manager. As my mother was on lunch break, this lady storms in, already red and furious. "I heard you were naming your baby Ryan." My mother is of course stunned. She stays silent for a few moments before finally answering, "That's her middle name, yes? Your baby is a girl," the woman exclaims, as though this is some sort of great revelation. My mother nods. Getting somehow redder, the woman snaps, "Ryan is a boy's name. Actually it's gender neutral." At this point, my mother's surprise is wearing off into a bit of righteous confusion. "Is there a problem with the name? You can't name your baby that." The woman is practically shouting at this point, "I'm naming my son that." My mother stares at her, trying to work out what kind of mental gymnastics it takes to decide your choice of baby name should give you the authority to veto someone else's baby name. "So, change your baby's middle name, or I'm going to fire you," the woman says, having drawn a crowd with this whole scene to witness the utter insanity that was her outburst. People who could act as witnesses for my mother if she attempted such a thing. "I don't think you can do that," my mother answers flatly. She couldn't even fire my mother on some other infraction because there was no other infraction. The staff was friendly with my mother and she had brought up sales in her area by a lot. The woman stops for a moment, maybe realizing that my mother was right on that point, and once again demands, "Change your baby's middle name. I chose Ryan first." "Ah yes, calling dibs." Surely my mother would have to respect a grown woman calling dibs on a very common name. "Ryan is my maiden name," my mom answers flatly. At this, the woman stops, still furious, sputters for a moment, and finally stomps off. "My middle name is Ryan. My mother's boss named her son Dylan instead." At 2 days past my due date, I shouldn't have used the expectant mother/parents with small children parking spot. My pregnancy was okay up until the last month. It was 95 degrees outside. I was retaining so much water, my sandals hardly fit on the biggest setting, and I was constantly in pain. It sucked. I waddle to the store for a couple last minute things for baby, and I was so relieved that there was a parking spot for pregos and parents near the entrance. I pulled in and took a few moments to chug water and gather my things when I notice a couple up to my left. They were half in the handicap parking stall and yelling something out the window. I rolled my window down. And here, you shouldn't be in that spot, you don't have kids. My son shouldn't have to walk from the back of the parking lot or something to that effect. I was a little stunned to be yelled at, to be honest. I calmly told her that I was very pregnant and this stall was for pregnant women too. She kept talking to her son, but at me, you know what I mean. Sorry son, you have to walk in the heat because this lady parked in our spot. So, I opened my door and hoisted my giant, Landway-esque body out of my car. She was still turned around talking to her son, and when she finally saw me, I was about 3 feet away from her window. I bent down, lol. No, I tilted my head down and said, do you see how pregnant I am? I think you and your son will be okay walking. And then I saw the son, he was like 7. The kid can walk. She just sighed and drove away. I was so pissed. I wish I said more to her. Thanks for watching. If you enjoyed this video, please consider leaving a like and subscribing for more videos like this. Don't forget to leave your stories in the comments below.